what specific experiences did you have with the Democratic Party, just locally and then at large?
Not too much. I mean, we had to purchase Van from them, which is like our canvassing software that we use to knock doors and track who we reached out to. It was really expensive. I think we had to pay $7,500 to the state's Democratic Party, which is also terrible for a grassroots campaign. But otherwise, like, we didn't really have to interact too much. We got voter data. That's about it.
Mm-hmm. So, I kind of feel like it's one of those things. I mean, I'm at the point now. I think we need an entirely new political vehicle. I just think that the Democratic Party, and I salute people that are trying to break in, and I support people trying to break in. But there's that other part of me that's like, oh, but why can't we just have a new political vehicle for everyone? Because I feel like you're just running into a burning building, and you're trying to enter a club that just hates you.
Yeah.
Like they hate you. Like they don't, what their first priority is beating you. And we saw a lot of that go on.
Mm-hmm.
And some people make it through regardless, which is inspiring and is optimistic. But it's like, if we had a new political vehicle that was a viable alternative, all the same corruption would still happen. I'm not saying we'd have like instant election integrity, but it would just be more of the Republicans pulling their shenanigans against both the Democrat and the actual progressive. So it would just slowly wipe out the corporate Democrats. That's what I think would happen. Like, what do you like from your perspective? Is that something you would consider, A, in the future, and B, do you think that's like possible?
I hope that it's possible. I know, like, my goal has been to infiltrate and change from within, which obviously is very difficult. And I don't like the direction of the party at all. Like, it's very upsetting to me. Obviously, I feel like I have to vote for him. That's everyone's personal choice, and totally understand if you disagree. But I have to vote for Joe Biden, who is probably the weakest candidate we've ever had running for president, and has some really valid accusations of sexual assault against him, and voted for the crime bill in the Iraq War. And I'm just wondering.
Well, he was one of the architects too. I mean, he did more than just vote for it.
Yes, exactly. But I'm just wondering, like, at what point can we say, if you have a record of killing so many people, maybe you're just not fit to serve us anymore. I personally don't think that anyone who voted for the Iraq War should still be sitting in Congress or in the Senate. And the crime bill, I mean, look what's happening today. That set the precedent for how communities of color are treated in our society. So it's not great. I'm not happy at all about the direction of our party. And I personally have just gotten out of a race that shows, like, money matters, personal wealth matters, connections to wealth matter. And the way that we fight that is through pushing through things like public financing of elections, which is a really wonderful incentive for grassroots campaigns to raise small dollars like we did. I mean, we had over 6 figures of donations. Our average donation was $24. So it was really, really hard work, and we did it. And we paid all of our bills, and we paid our staff, and we're really proud of it. But when you're up against somebody who accepted $700,000 from corporations, like, it's really hard. And that's why it matters that organizations like Brand New Congress are brave enough to get involved and back candidates like myself, because every supporter, every dialer, every volunteer is one piece of a huge puzzle about how to oust a terrible incumbent.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand all those concerns completely, and like addressing some of the stuff you said. I personally, I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden. I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump. Obviously, I'm not going to vote for either one of them. But, you know, I made the decision a long time ago, you know, and I've tweeted about this. I'm like, look, here's what's going to happen this election season. There's going to be like-minded people that are going to make different judgment calls. And some of them are going to hold their nose and vote for Biden. Some of them aren't. And we got one of each right now. And, you know, I mean, we can discuss why we're each making the decisions we're making, and that's fine. But to me, it's like, you know, I'm not going to voter shame anybody either way, because that's just not constructive. It's like your anger should be at the system that gave us these repulsive choices, not the voters who are having to deal with it. So, you know, I mean, and I've gotten emails where people are like, should I vote for Biden? I'm like, you got to do you. You know, you got to factor in. I'm not here to tell you you do or you don't have to. Like that's not, I don't do that on this show. I know other shows that do that stuff. I don't do that. To be honest, don't spend a lot of time on electoral politics at all these days because it's one of the things I'm least optimistic about. But there's little glimpses of hope, and a lot of the stuff that happened in New York was among those glimpses of hope. And honestly, I mean, here, take a look at this. This is breaking right now. You know, we got a little bit of optimism going on in Kentucky, and this is changing in real time. I don't know if we're going to get the final verdict today or not. You think we're still going to wait, or do you think we're going to get it?
What was that, Paul? Do you know? It was like 75% reported so far.
And he's still up.
Yeah. I mean, probably within the next few days. I'm 100% Team Booker. Really? The 30th? Okay. I guess they're going to.
Probably not going to know till the 30th.
Yeah. But Charles.
Guys, you heard it here first from Paul. We got off mic Paul. He's my go-to guy. Here we go. This is Get Your News On with Ron. My co-host is a black cat who's asleep on the couch, and my fact checker is Paul. Paul's hired.
Paul's my partner and just happens to have like a very encyclopedic knowledge of all these elections going on.
That's helpful. Did he vote for you?
Oh yes, I actually I actually looked at his ballot. We went in person, and I was very proud to see that he voted for me and Bernie Sanders. So
did it feel weird voting for yourself?
You know what's so weird about this whole experience is I feel like a lot of it I was pretty numb.
Really?
I saw my name on the piece of paper and filled in the circle, and I was like, okay. And I handed it to the person. And then after I left, I was like, I feel like I should be really excited about this. But I think a lot of that was as a grassroots progressive, you're in survival mode the whole time. So it's just okay, fill in the circle, leave, keep going, have to fundraise. And part of waking up the last 2 days, I'm like, oh, I don't have to ask anyone for money today. It's such a beautiful thing.
What were you getting? And then I want to get back to Kentucky for a little bit, but there's just so many questions. How much sleep were you getting on average throughout the whole thing?
I mean, at least the last few weeks, it couldn't have been more than a few hours per night.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it was, I really do I wake up in kind of physical pain because I'm just I know it's time to wake up, but I physically can't. So I know this morning I laid there for a little bit and I was like, must sit up.
Oh, yikes. Yeah. And I'm one of these people, I don't like sleep that much.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I mean? I do it because I have to.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan of it. I'm as little as I need to get by, that's all I want. I don't want more. But on the same note, I don't really want less because then it's going to affect my day. And I feel like a solid 5 to 6 spot. That's what I need. If I get more than that, that's okay. But if I get too much, then I'm really fucked up. If I get over 8, yeah. I feel groggy and I'm but so are we talking 3 to 4 or what are we talking? No. Okay. See that?
Yeah.
That's not enough.
No, it was terrible. And I'm like just starting to catch up. So, just sleep, some good food, and Animal Crossing is what I'm prescribing myself and my therapist.
There you go. No, that sounds like a good unwind. But so the thing about Booker, getting back to the race that's going on in Kentucky, it was so apparent. And of course, I hope he wins this thing big time. But they did everything in their power to make sure he couldn't win. And when we covered this on the show yesterday, you see that video footage of those droves of people banging on the door to say, we want to vote, and him pleading with the judge, who I think they extended it like 30 minutes, to let these people vote. And you kind of ask yourself, well, what if, and where did they do that? They did that in the urban centers. They did that in the cities. They did that in the black neighborhoods. They did that in the place where they're like, hopefully these are the people turning up for this guy. Let's try to stifle them. Let's stifle the people in Louisville and Lexington, the people that are going to come out for Charles Booker. They did everything they could. And had he not been sounding the siren as loud as he could, and had those people not physically banged on the doors, I don't think we'd be this far.
No,
I don't think we'd be this far. I think he would have likely lost already. And things are looking good right now. Knock on wood, things are looking good. We don't know the finals yet. And according to our source on the ground, Paul, he's saying the 30th. And but this is not a democracy,
No, it's very far from a democracy. And I think, man, I'm sure glad people got out to vote for him, because it matters a lot. I know in our race, people were requesting absentee ballots, and even election day, we were being told that they never received them. And these are people that have disabilities or immune system issues, and they couldn't go to the polls, which is flat out voter suppression. So there's a lot that prevents progress. But the thing is, if all of the people who are angry about it do everything they can to have their voice heard, we all together are unstoppable. And like, I know I'm an idealist, and I just went through a pretty dirty and terrible race, but at the end of the day, I still believe in our ability to change things. And that happens when we come together. And, we're fighting police brutality by the millions, and we've already gotten some legislation passed. We're far from being done. But we're scaring the establishment that was ignoring all of this for so long. And that's how it happens, is people on the street and people going to the polls. Well,
and I see that's where my optimism lies too. And it's more on that people on the streets part. Like if we just talked about nothing but electoral politics and election integrity, somebody would be like, man, that Ron guy is a freaking cynic. Jesus. But if we talked about protests and movements and the new generation, and like then it's like, oh, this guy's an optimist. So I'd like to think I have a balance. I don't know, maybe. I mean, it depends on who you talk to. It depends on who you ask, and it depends on if I got enough sleep. But
I get
it. but I feel like most of my optimism lies outside of electoral politics and in the ability of mass movements. I mean, you look at the concessions that we've already gotten, which, yeah, as you said, and I agree with you completely, we have a long, long, long way to go. But to try to just be realistic here, we've gotten more concessions as a result of these protests than we've gotten in decades of pleading with our political machine.
Yes.
I mean, people have been pleading since, at least since Rodney King, going further back than that. Nothing has happened. Finally, some things are starting to happen. We're a long, long way, but some things are starting to happen. And it's because people showed up and they're like, we're fed up. We're not taking it anymore. I think I was talking to a friend about this yesterday. what I would love to see happen is I would love to see all of this energy, with Black Lives Matter, with people out protesting in the streets. I'd love to see it pivot into a general strike.
Yeah.
And those connections being made. And we're just like, you know what? We're not doing this anymore. We're not continuing your fucking train anymore. We're done.
Yes.
This pandemic has showed us who the essential workers are. So much so that we call them essential workers. Yes. That's what we call them. Well, guess what? It's time to say, we ain't doing this anymore. We ain't doing this anymore. And then it's where'd you go? Oh, there you are. You're back.
Sorry, everything froze for a second.
You're just like, all right, I've had enough of this. I get it. I get it. You want a general strike. You're a fan. I tell people I'm a general strike stan. I really am. I really am. Any criticisms of general strike, I'm like, nah, I don't think so. And that's actually my official 2020 endorsement. General strike and rent strike is my VP pick. That's who I'm really going for. I'm like, general strike, rent strike. I'm just gonna write it in everywhere.
Truly, I think those would be better options than we have.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and